Live. Hello, I'm Ellen with BlackFilm.com, and I'm joined by director-producer Winter Dunn, and we are talking about her new short film, Junebug. Hi, Winter.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to talk to you. I am in love with this short film. I've been thinking about it since I've watched it a couple of days ago. I have so many questions and so many statements, and so I'm really excited to have this conversation with you.
Oh, I'm excited to be here.
So the film is based on an original idea you co-developed with playwright turned screenwriter Nicky Davis. How did this idea come to fruition?
Well, me and Nicky, we've collaborated in the theater space many times. I've known her for a few years now, and I knew I was ready to direct my first short. I've been producing and making digital editorial content, and I wanted to make my first short film, and it had to be Nicky. I was like, you've never written a film before, but I know you have such an authentic, such a rich voice.
Yeah.
And so we met. I had a couple of ideas, but the one idea we couldn't shake is this concept or just this idea of Black fathers and their daughters. We were like, what films have you seen about a Black dad and his daughter? And he's present and it feels organic and authentic. And we couldn't find many pieces. And we were like, this is the work.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. And we, we're passionate about pushing back on this daddy issues narrative, that if you had a complex relationship with your dad, as a Black woman, right? We don't put those roles on everyone else, but as Black women, we're going to be doomed in our future relationships. And so we really want to push back on that and show a relationship that was complex and in some ways painful, but in other ways really magical and really special. And so that's how it all came to be.
Mission accomplished. And then you brought on producer CJ Faison, Takara, Joseph, and Sandra Evers Manley. Was that, did you know that that's who you wanted to be a part of this, or how did that come together?
Yeah, so me and Sandra, she was also our EP. So she was like, after we were developed the script, she was kind of the first person we went to. We knew we wanted to collaborate with her. I knew her through, mutual friends. And so she was kind of the first one on board. And I was going to produce it myself because I'm also a producer. And I knew I needed support. I couldn't focus creatively on directing and fully on producing. So the first person I called was CJ. We never worked together. We actually met a couple weeks before I hit him up about this project. Yeah, he was at a celebratory dinner for my film Jezebel. Someone invited him and we connected, and everything about this film is so authentic. We just clicked. And I was like, there's something about you. I'll be reaching out soon. And when we got the funding for the film, I reached out. He was like, I'm down. He saw the script. He said, sign me up. I'm bringing my girl Takara. Like, she's going to be a producer with us just to make sure all our bases are covered. And they really held me down. I couldn't have done it without them.
It sounds like an organic fusion, and I love those sort of, the way that comes together. So as I watched the film several times, like I said earlier, I came to my own conclusion as to why it was meant to be a short film versus feature length. But I am curious as to what brought that decision on.
Well, it was we always decided we were going to make a short.
Okay.
This is my directorial debut. I've produced a feature, but I know the time and the space that requires a lot of capacity. And so I wanted to tell a story, a great story in this short format, and see how much heart, how much can we put into this 17 minutes without it feeling like we're laying on the emotions and laying on, all these things. And so, we're talking about developing it into a feature, but I am really proud of the story we were able to tell in this short format. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I felt the heartbeat within those 17 minutes, which makes it so special. And then also in the same breath, I was like, all right, so I have questions. Where's the mama? How does she feel about all of this? Where does dad go? Like, what's his music life like? Like, what is he doing when he disappears? And then the fact that he's still alive, are they ever going to kind of mend this relationship? What is that going to look like? So I'm like, okay, this could be a feature film as well. Which I love.
I love that you're asking those questions because that's what we wanted,
Yeah.
I was like, we don't need to answer every question in
Right.
this piece. We
Right.
want the audience to bring their own experiences and to ask their own questions and draw their own conclusions. Like, we're not here to answer it for you. So I love that those are the questions you're asking.
And that's what I love most about short films that are told well, right? Because you can walk away feeling like, wow, I got all 17 minutes of that, but then there's still enough meat in it to feel like this could be feature length. And I'm wildly curious about what happens to these awesome characters. And speaking of the cast, my God, Calla Lane, who plays young Junie, she did such a superb job capturing the innocence and the maturity required to sort of navigate this complicated relationship. Was it a no-brainer that she would play this part? Like, what was that audition process like?
You know what's funny? So we didn't have much time to shoot this. After we acquired the funding, they wanted it shot within like 4 weeks.
Wow.
So we hit the ground running.
Okay.
And so Kayla didn't audition. I had seen some of her past work. I was like, we're shooting this literally in a week. Like, I don't know. It's been about trusting ourselves since day one. CJ brought her to me and was like, what do you think? This girl's powerful. There were maybe 4 other girls, and something about her, I was like, it's her. She has that groundedness, that thing, So that was it. I was nervous. This was my first time directing a child actor. But when I say that girl is talented, she has a bright future ahead of her. And talking about energy, her and Terrence, their families had met. They walked on set and were like, didn't you meet? Because Terrence writes children's stories, like children's books. And so they had already connected. So there was authentic energy there. It was just, it felt very ordained.
Yeah.
The entire process felt very ordained. Yeah.
I mean, and also Danielle Monet-Truitt, who plays adult Junie. What a great emotional performance, right? And the same thing with Terrence Tyrell, who plays Davis, Junie's father. The question I had about him is like, was his stature intentional? Because I feel like him being this big guy just played its own part, or did it happen that it was him and he happened to be a big dude?
A little bit of both. Before I actually met him and seen him physically, at first, I thought he might have been too big. Like everything I'd seen him in, he looked very in shape, very healthy.
Right.
And for me, Davis isn't. He don't take care of himself. He just doing what he does, living his day to day, taking it one day at a time. But when I met Terrence and he came with the material and I saw him, I said, this is perfect. It's perfect. And there are these shots where we use his stature to tell story. Him up against this tiny little body.
Yes.
Something about it was like terrifying sometimes, but also endearing in others. So we definitely use that to help tell the story.
And a great segue to my next question. I'm always intrigued by the thought process behind creating meaningful shots and visuals that tell their own story separate from the main. What were some of your directorial goals? Like, what did you want to accomplish with each shot? There were so many dope shots, Winter, let me tell you. Like, I have them in my mind and I want to like go through them.
Girl, I have to say thank you for acknowledging, because that's my jam. I'm that director. The shots have to be clean. Yeah, they're everything. So thank you for even acknowledging that.
I mean, the opening scene. Okay, so I pressed play, and then it's this opening scene, the POV from the living room into the kitchen, and then you have this contrast of dark and light. That was powerful, and I felt like that there was a lot of dark and light in all of the shots that both Junebug and Davis were in, which I thought were beautiful. Was that intentional?
Yes,
right,
100%. Well, first off, the lighting in our past scenes was very intentional.
Okay.
I wanted those scenes to feel dreamy and soft, like memories she's trying to hold on to, but they're not quite clear, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then with the shadows and the darkness, there's a lot of darkness in this space.
Yes.
There's a lot of shadows, and there's a lot of like, what happens in this home, right? Like, what is going on in the wee night hours that lingers, when we wake up the next morning to have breakfast, so and speaking of that, my director of photography, Brent Johnson, me and him, once again, click organic. Once I told him what I was seeing in terms of executing, He was right there with me. There was never a moment where I felt like Brent was doing his own thing and it didn't feel in alignment to the story. So those shots, I'm very proud of those shots.
As you should be.
Thank you.
As you should be. I think that was one of my favorite. Those were some of my favorite moments. Not only the story, but just visually, it was just so pleasing to the eye and to the heart and to the mind. Like for me, it just kind of took over my entire spirit as I was watching it, and then the subsequent days. So yeah, I feel so connected to this for 1,000 reasons. I loved the use of sunlight, right? And against the backdrop of this like complicated relationship, like when Davis, you know, disappeared and came back, and that embrace in the backyard and that bright shot of sunlight, it was so beautiful, but yet it was just kind of a part of this really sad reality of what this relationship, you know, was. So I was like, wow, I'm tearing up. That was so special.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also in the scenes where it was at night, the lighting was superb, right? The shots. And also the use of music and rhythm to tell the story, and that how just kind of tied towards the end with Junebug finally finding her flow. That was such a cohesive connection throughout this film.
Yeah, I mean, music, we wanted it to be its own character.
Yes.
Music is her and her dad's love language, right? All this other stuff as she grew up and she starts to rethink, what was that with my dad? Maybe that wasn't as perfect as I thought when I was a kid, or some of those memories. The one thing she could always come back to is, but my dad played great music and he introduced me to great music. And that, I think, is their through line to her adulthood. And that's what allows her to open up and write and tell her story. Yeah.
Eventually. One of the things I enjoyed most about this film was the pairing of this profound message and then the simplicity in which it was articulated. Which for me, and I imagine other viewers, created an instant connection. How challenging or seamless was it to bring that to life?
Well, I think going into the story, when we were ready to shoot, I said from day one, I don't want it to feel like we want people to feel anything. Like, we're not here to tug on your heartstrings. We're not here, you know, we could have easily made some of those scenes with Davis, you know, extremely violent or over the top. And to me, you know, that didn't feel real. I mean, obviously that is some people's story and that's tragic, but for us, I think there's magic in those of us who have this past that I wasn't beat and abused and any of that.
Right.
But it also had this stuff that I have to heal from. Just tell the story. You know, don't overdo it. Don't feel the need to, you know, melodramatic it, if that's even a word. You know, just tell the story. And I think Nicky Davis, in terms of her writing style, does that beautifully.
Yeah.
She just lays it out for you and you get caught up and you're like, wait a minute, I'm feeling things. You know, it doesn't feel like she's trying to make that happen. And same in the way we shot it, you know, with the actors. I'm like, don't overdo it. You know, when they're on the floor, I'm on the floor with them. Just just whatever we are right now in this space, this is what we're pulling from. And that'll play. We just have to trust that that'll play. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes on set, it's nervous because you don't see the whole thing and you're like, will this play? Should I push the drama? And I'm really proud to say we didn't. We just told the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think, you know, the culmination of the writing, the directing, and the acting just kind of fed into that in a very organic way. I kind of liken it to like being at a museum and you're staring at an art piece and it's all, you know, everyone interprets it different based on their experiences.
Exactly.
I thought about, you know, this could also apply to a love relationship where you're dealing with someone who's dealing with his or her own stuff. Yeah, so it was relatable across the board, which was a great takeaway. And as a writer myself, I understand writer's block all too well, but I think for the first time, I'm attributing that block to something other than lack of creativity, because it's so easy to chalk it up to, oh, my head's just cluttered. It's all
right.
Like,
I'm not in the mood, you know.
Right. Yep. But perhaps unresolved emotions are connected to this, which is a big game changer. My favorite line was, "I don't want to talk about him like he's some trauma I survived." Wow, what a powerful line.
Yep.
It made me think of the importance of healthy father-daughter relationships, but I think for the first time it made me re-examine complicated relationships because they too have a purpose.
Right.
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 And for Junie, those experiences helped inform her as a writer.
Yep. And as a creative,
As a creative.
you know, it's like, I wouldn't be who I am without you.
Exactly.
So I can't hate you. I can't hate you because I wouldn't be who I am without you, but I can't ignore the fact that there's a lot of trauma I had to heal from because of you. Exactly. Yeah. It's not so black and white as we like to, you know, our parents are human, our parents are flawed, and they walk into being parents with all their own stuff. And I think we don't oftentimes allow that to be a complex, always moving relationship.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah, it's absolutely okay. And we don't really look at our parents as people outside of our parents. Like, this is a whole man, woman, human being who's lived a robust life. And, you know, that comes with a whole different way of thinking about this human being. It changes the game a little bit if you think about it perspective. I thought the film did such a great job answering the question, how do you explain someone both impossible to love and impossible not to? Right? And we as the audience got to witness that instead of it being explained to us, which goes back to what you were saying before. That was the intention. It came across beautifully. So my question to you is, how do you deal with creative block? Right. That might be a loaded question.
No. I mean, I try to stay present in the moment I'm in.
Yeah.
So when I feel stuck, it kind of depends on where I'm at, you know? Sometimes I'm stuck because I'm anxious, because I'm expecting this to be perfect and I'm expecting to create something brilliant. And I put these expectations on myself. And sometimes I have to step outside of that and go, who do you want to be today?
Right.
You know, what story do you want to tell today? Let's just take it, and sort of how we shot the film. Let's take the moment we're in and use it to be our best self today. So that's a tool I use often. And then sometimes you have to you got to come away from it and think and do and play and run around and just be a free flowing person and excited about who you are as a person. And oftentimes when you come back to the work, you come with that sense of like rejuvenation, right? Like for all of us who are always working and busy, it's easy to get so caught in it that you forget why you like to do it. There's a reason you chose this work. I would hope it's because you love it and you have fun doing it. So let's find the fun again and come back to it in that space.
Well said. What's been some of your memorable moments throughout this whole experience with this film?
I remember the first meeting between me and Nicky Davis when I said, we're making a film. Sit down, have some water. We're making a film. Let's figure that out.
Wow.
I remember first day of shooting. And, you know, Terrence, he's a very busy working actor. This man left for 3 auditions, flew to Atlanta to shoot something, came back for third day of shooting, and never brought that into our shoot, which I was very nervous about.
Right.
So that to me was like, wow, I learned a lot from him about work ethic. I said, wow, this man loves what he does and he respects us enough to come ready to work. And I'll always appreciate him for that. And the edit, I love sitting in an editing booth. Lauren Heverin, our editor, she's someone I'm taking with me everywhere I go. It's one of those, once again, authentic relationships where she just gets it. She gets it. She doesn't feel the need to overcut and over shift and create a whole, you know, she's like, let it be. Let's pull back. What is this moment, right? A real storyteller in her own right, and sitting in that editing bag for days and days, you know, finding this film, because it is a simple story, which I think is harder than people often realize. Yeah.
And great editing is everything, I think.
You can have beautiful footage, and if your editor doesn't get it,
right,
it's not gonna come together the way you think.
throw the whole movie away. Yeah.
Yep.
And what's so dope is that this is, like you said earlier, this is your directorial debut. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. First of all, so what got you to the point of, you know what, I want to direct? How did you get there?
Well, I've always been directing. I started in New York working in theater. So I've directed plays since high school. I was in arts academies and things. So I've been directing for a while.
Okay.
And when I moved to LA, it was, okay, I know I want to direct film, and I know I want to direct television, and I know I can tell stories. I just don't know the specifics of this genre, right?
Yeah.
Directing for stage and directing for film is like different worlds,
even
though you can pull tools from each.
Yeah.
So I just got on set and I started PAing, and I started, eventually producing and just doing what I could do. And then I started directing, web series content and then editorial content. So I've been, doing the work. But I didn't have a piece that I felt like was my own and really was a reflection of my voice. And so when I decided, God just put now is the time, now is the time. Called Nicky, and it just started clicking. Right. Yeah. So it really is just trusting the timing of it.
Right. And timing.
Yeah.
I must say, this is a hell of a start. If this is the bar you set, my God, I can't wait to see where you go from here. I will be watching just
oh, thank you.
With excitement. What did you learn from this? What was some of your takeaways from this experience?
Jesus, I learned so much that now my brain is like, where do we even start? Well, I mean, super technically, there were moments on set where I would know we need to get something, but because of time, we just would move on, and I would go, okay, it's fine. Everyone thinks it's fine. And then we would get to the edit, and that would be the one piece that we were missing. So I learned, obviously I come with my shot list, I come prepared, but if there is something that I need and I know I need it, get it. Because no one else on this crew is going to be sitting in that editing room with me and the editor. Right. So if I know we need it, trust that, and make that happen. And then the same with moving on. There are moments where I'm worried that we don't have it and I'm overshooting, and I go back and I'm like, that first take, we had it, you knew you had it. Trust yourself. Maybe you would have, had more time at the end of your day. So I don't know if that's, interesting to people, but that's something I really learned. Like, trust yourself.
Because all these things are going to inform your next project.
Exactly.
And so all those little things matter in their own special way. So Junebug was shot, a year ago? Like, how long ago was the shot?
About a year ago. Okay. Yeah.
Right. And so it's been making some major waves in the film festival circuit. My God, right? So it premiered at the ABFF, American Black Film Festival, this past summer. It also screened with the Black Women's Film Network a couple of days ago on October 10th, if memory serves me right. And then the Martha's Vineyard Film Festival, and then official selection of the upcoming Milwaukee Film Festival, and Holy Shorts.
Holy Shorts as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so how does that feel, for your first film to just be received this way?
So special.
Oh my God.
It's so special. I mean, we fight and we push in this business, and you're like, I've always said, if I can tell the stories or like shoot the stories I see in my head, I know they would be powerful. Yeah. I just have to figure out how to get them out of my head. I need the tools, I need the team, I need the scripts, and I've been pulling it and trying to find those things for the last 5 years out here in LA. And so to go, this is it. This is the heart. This is what I've been trying to do. And for other people to respond to it, it's like, I was right. Yeah. It is good work. It's powerful work. And I'm excited to keep shooting. I'm excited for the next film. And I'm excited to be connecting with new people through this work and people who resonate with it. It's a really special feeling.
Yeah, it makes me think of that just old cliche. Just go with your gut. Go with your intuition. Go with that voice in your head that's telling you to just do it. Just do it, because
exactly,
good things shall come. There's no way I can let you go before we talk about Jezebel for a hot 2 seconds.
Okay.
Because, oh my God, when I watched that, what was it, earlier this year, towards the end of last year, I loved it. And were you a producer on it?
Yes.
Oh
I
God.
produced alongside Numa.
Right. That was such a good film, Winter. Can I just tell you, that might be the best coming of age story I've seen about a young Black girl. I want to say ever. Right. And just the way, she transitioned from who she was, and this is Tiffany, to who she became. Oh my God. I still think about that film till this day. How did it work out that you ended up producing on this?
God is good.
All the time.
All the time, I was working at Black and Sexy, a digital company that Numa co-founded. And to be honest, I mean, I was at home, and Numa hit me up and said, "Hey, I got this script. Can you read it?"
Wow.
Of course. I mean, it's Numa Perrier. I love Numa. I've always loved her work. And this is her debut feature. Of course I'm going to read the script. I read it and I said the same thing. I have never seen a coming of age story like this. I have never seen sex workers portrayed like this in this human, also simple way. It just, this is what happened. And I called her and I told her my thoughts, and she was like, "Well, I'm glad it resonates with you. Would you like to produce with me?"
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny you mention it. I would like to do that.
That's a hard yes for me.
Yeah, it's a serious yes. So, well, talk about quick processes. Within a couple weeks, we were having a table read. Within 3 weeks, we were in Vegas. It was like on and popping. We shot it very quickly, but I mean, talk about, learning, and talk about always being a student. That film, I was there for every shot. I'm sitting we were in these tiny little spaces. I'm right there with Numa, watching her direct her film. If she's acting, I'm calling action. I'm calling cut because she's in the scene, Talk about learning. She is a really fantastic director, and she trusts herself. She trusts her vision and her voice. And in some ways that really empowered me to do the same. I'm like, if this woman can do her thing unapologetically, and look how it turned out, and I got to be a facilitator of that vision, what an honor. What a huge honor. And so walking into Junebug, I pulled all the lessons learned into that. Trust yourself. And then hopefully the next film, I have even more jewels to take with me. So really powerful experience.
And the operative word there being unapologetically, which I think is so synonymous when it comes to Black creatives, women and men. You have to be unapologetic about who you are and what you bring out, because at least for me, that's what I gravitate to. And I know I'm not the only human being that feels this way. Switching back to Junebug, what do you want people to know about this film? Like, what, in a few words?
I want people to know that this is a film of healing for everyone involved. It is an honest film. If you grew up in a not so perfect household, and yet you love your family and you love your people, this is a film for you. And I think as Black people, we have a lot of generational pain and a lot of generational trauma that we don't often address. We don't feel like we could or should address. And watch us address it in the work. That's really what this film is us addressing our pain and our trauma and putting it into a script, putting it into a film. And I'm really proud of it. So go watch. We're in Milwaukee Film Festival. Check us out.
Yes, please watch. Yeah, I'm telling all my people about this.
Thank you.
Listen, thank you so much for talking to blackfilm.com about this very special film. I wish you all the success in the world. I can't wait to see what's to come. And I hope to talk to you 1,000 more times after this.
Please. I would love to come back. This was such a rich conversation. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. Well, have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.